Hi guys, it's Rachel again. This video in particular is especially for Pitbull Advocates or anyone who is posting in behalf of pit bulls online. With all the BSL laws that have been making headlines in the United States, I've been noticing a few trends that have been forming more often than not that I'd really like to help stop in our community. Overall, I think that these things are, even though it's not intended, they're taking us backwards, and I think as a community we need to start being more positive in our advocacy. The first really big do not I'd like to address is please avoid any form of threats. Even simple things like, I'd like to put him on a chain and see how he likes it. When we make comments like this, even though you may not realize it, you're closing that person's mind even more to any ideas that could be brought to them. Instead of educating them on dog behavior and language and things like that and why dogs would not be happy living on a chain and why it's not a good idea for any dog, you're closing their mind off to anything that someone else could come along and teach them. And of course we want to avoid any bigger threats than that for obvious reasons. Number 2 is a huge do not for me that I would really like to see stopped altogether in our community. Please avoid, on any level, personally attacking victims. Whether this is the people who go out of their way to harass certain victims or even making personal comments about them. This seriously needs to stop in this community. When you resort to negative comments like this, even simple as so-and-so is an idiot, or they deserved it, or going out of your way like I previously mentioned, you are labeling all of us as advocates or anyone who speaks on behalf of pit bulls, and this is something that we need to stop. Discrimination is already one problem against the dogs. We don't need it against advocates as well, and you're really helping giving people reasons to resort to us as a negative thing. We don't all want to be labeled as pitbull nutters or looked at as people who go out of our way to bully people just because we love our dogs. That's not the case with the majority of us, but those few people that are going out of their way to do that are affecting all of us negatively, and that's just not fair, especially because the media and news stations already tend to be against us. Why should we give them more reasons to not like us or turn their head? When you make comments that are just so terrible to the victim, those are the comments that make it onto the news articles and onto the news stations, and we don't need any more of that than we already have. We need to learn to avoid that, and that's why we need to start being more positive as a whole. And that is just something that needs to stop now. So please avoid using victims' names or addressing families or anything like that, because even though we need to help spread how to manage dogs properly and dog language and behavior and stuff like that, there's no reason to get personal about it. So please avoid doing that and encourage everyone else to do so as well. My other big do not that I'd really like to put out there kind of goes along the same lines of why we shouldn't do it. Please avoid putting other breeds of dog down to make pit bulls look better. When we do this, we're just giving the general public another reason to look away and not like us, instead of getting them more on our side, or at least respecting our point of view. If someone looked at us and told us that a poodle was better than a pit bull because of this, that, and another thing, we wouldn't want to get on their side with anything they had to say about poodles or anything like that. Instead of just telling you guys a bunch of do nots or making this a negative video, I came up with a few solutions for people who might be struggling with these things. Things we all together need to do instead are focus on educating others on dog language and behavior, how to properly manage a dog, and really encourage more people to understand that their lifestyle and breed of dog needs to be important considerations before bringing a dog into their home. It's also important for everyone to realize the managing thing. It's not all about how dogs were trained or raised, it's also about how they're managed. Keeping dogs happy and healthy has a lot to do with how a dog's going to react to anything negative or how it's going to be in the future. If you find that responding negatively or with a lot of emotion is hard for you to do, please just try to avoid reading into negative pit bull media. Maybe following certain pages on Facebook that post about dogs who are in need of help isn't a good idea for you if you can only respond in a negative way, or in a way that can be portrayed negative to all of us together. maybe if you could go back and respond when you're less emotional or angry about it would be a good idea. If you're angry about it, but you're the type of person who needs to talk when you're angry, you could give a friend a call or go out for coffee or something like that, instead of just having more evidence or more bad information that could be used against us as a whole in the future. My recommendation for what I do, if you are able to watch or read into the graphic or cruelty articles and stuff like that, do it, but then twist it into a positive. Watch the videos and read the articles and whatnot, because knowing other people's point of view, where they're coming from, strengthens you as an advocate and as a person. And not only that, but it helps you come up with more solutions. After all, that's why I made this video. I think this is a message that really needs to get out there, and it's why I started this channel. And it also will help the general public and anti-pitbull people, like, at least respect us if we can try respecting them. But even though this is just kind of a silly little video I wanted to make just to get the message out there, we really need to come together to break this whole pitbull and litter stereotype. That way we are much closer to successes in the future.